Yes, it's a lot of snow. The snow fall down yesterday. Today, today is no today the temperature is becoming higher, and I think next 2 or 3 days will we will have water on the ground.
So it's gotten warmer where you are, and you are hopeful that spring will come soon?
Yes. We hope to see the spring.
So we say hope springs eternal. Have you heard that before?
Hope spring. No.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. That means we are always hopeful. Spring as a verb there. So like jumps up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just come a bit late. Is spring coming to Moscow?
Spring?
Mm-hmm.
I've just understood is it's coming, but very slowly. More in the range of hope than actual evidence, because Olga was just saying that, like Des Moines, they have fresh snow on the ground.
Yeah. Well, we have our two Olgas, and here comes Konstantin.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, Professor.
Hello, how are you? We can hear you, but we can't see you.
You can see me?
Not yet, but your audio is very good.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
There you are.
There's a little picture down at the bottom there, you know, Yasna Brasi. Can you see the picture I put? This was an assignment I gave my.
Yes.
Let's see.
Mud. Slush.
Slush.
Snavrasi, spring in Russia.
So this was an assignment you gave to your students of Russian.
This is an assignment, and they gave a presentation when they come back from spring break. They give a presentation on what they did during spring break, and some traveled, and some stayed home, and some went to concerts, that sort of thing.
And what did you do during your spring break?
My spring break, I worked in my garden. I worked in the garden, and
he visited his fellow colleagues.
And I went to visit a friend, a good friend and colleague, and had a good time there. Good time.
I was not with this group last week. Did we do presentations with this group already?
Let's see. Last week we had presentations from. I'm trying to remember. I don't have good notes I don't think we did. Did we have who? Konstantin and Olga, did you give a presentation on your surveys last week?
No, I didn't remove it from my computer.
Okay, so do you have one ready today, Konstantin?
Mm-hmm.
A presentation on stereotypes, American and Russian stereotypes?
No, I removed my folder from my computer.
Ah, you removed it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and Olga Suchinskaya, do you have it? Do you have a presentation?
No, sorry, I also don't have it.
Okay, Olga Vasina.
I have presentation.
Okay. Would you like to give it now?
Show all class.
Mm-hmm.
Show my presentation. So how can I do it?
Okay, we will make you the host, and you can load it. Professor Shestakov, could you make Olga Vasina the host? Shestakova нет.
We have Helena here too. Good evening.
Helena?
Hi. Good evening.
Helena, what time is it in Omsk?
11 p.m.
No, Matt. Sometimes I get it a little confused though. So, and what time is it in Moscow?
8 p.m.
p.m. Okay.
So 3 hours difference. We will try to get Olga updated to host here in a moment. Olga, while we are waiting, Olga Vasina, can you tell us a little bit about your survey, what questions you asked?
I do not survey yet. I just ask people to write what they think about Russians and about Americans. So, and I do some review what Russians think about yourself and about American people. So I can say that one moment.
And maybe you could give us a summary. You could give us an overview.
I don't know how to do it. I have a presentation, but
I think we cannot promote you to host right away, so maybe you could do it ustna today, orally today.
yes, I do. So, and I reviewed that Russians think about Americans as the people who like big cars, live to the credit. I think you understand me a lot. Use credit cards very often. Americans very friendly and smiling people. They're very patriotic, but they often compete at war.
That's a very interesting point. So you say that we are very competitive at work?
I think because in Russia it's not so, because people just work. They don't try to compete, I think. But now maybe in Russia we have we have the same competition at work. But my friends write me that about yourself, that maybe not about yourself, but about their friends, or maybe about all Russians, that firstly, Russians drink a lot of alcohol, especially vodka. Believe in easy money, and have a negative approach to life. I don't.
So the Russians have that approach to life?
As my friend wrote me.
So you're saying that the Russians would have a very negative approach toward life?
Pessimistic, I think.
Say that again?
Pessimistic.
My audio is a little bad. Optimistic?
Opposite.
Oh, pessimistic. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Very, very interesting. So you would say that Americans are optimistic and Russians are more pessimistic.
Yeah. And
now, do you agree with that, Olga? Do you personally agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately.
And
I have an interesting picture, but I can't show it for you. Or maybe I can.
Can you share maybe a picture under the share and file? Under the share menu, can you see the option to upload a picture file? That work, Olga? Here it comes. Stereotypes. There it is.
That's good.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, Olga Vasina?
I know I have one American friend, and when she came to my town, the first question was, where is beer, and why they don't, they weren't, no, I have a problem with my grammar, they aren't walk around my town, I think.
He had some stereotypes about Russians.
Can you describe the picture?
Oh, it's a Russian man who I think very friendly with the beer. And I think it's what Americans think about Russian. Balalaika, beer, Ushanka. And I know.
Well, it's true, isn't it? It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's Valentin in Russian.
Oh no, nobody there, Ushanka.
The boots, the felt boots.
Boots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And well, this is not an accurate picture because what's missing, or two things are missing.
Vodka?
Things are missing. One is a bottle of vodka, and the other is a pickle.
What does pickle mean? I don't know.
Pickle, aguriets.
I go to see. Yeah.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. Otherwise, it's accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Isn't anyone going to object?
Well, I think everybody sees the humor. I think everyone is laughing, hopefully, right?
And one more picture, one moment. It's,
Okay.
The Russian stereotypes by another picture is more Matryoshka.
Ah, that has Professor Leroux's pieces in it.
Vodka, rockets,
Sachs, and the Volga River.
Volga River, of course. Russia and Volga River, the same.
And complete with a nuclear missile on its way to the United States.
Yes.
Now, Konstantin, I hear you smiling. What is your view of Americans, Konstantin? What, if you had to tell about a stereotype of Americans, what would you say?
My own review of my report survey.
Why don't you do your report? You could maybe tell us orally, verbally.
I asked some of my friends about Pussy Riot, but the answer was the same as Irene said last time. Anybody think that it is a political solution?
Decision, yeah.
Then I asked them what they think about Americans in general. But I have to say that most of them confuse the American and United States of America. And our popular belief that United States of America isn't very friendly to us. So I forgot last question.
That's an important point, right? How friendly are we? Are we friends or are we enemies? Right? Was that the question?
Excuse me, Konstantin. Can you please adjust your cameras? Right now, all we see is your forehead.
Excuse me.
Yes, that's better. You have a very expressive forehead, but it's much better to look at your whole face.
Thanks.
Well,
what was the question again?
I will ask Konstantin. Konstantin, what do you believe? Are Americans friendly toward Russians or unfriendly toward Russians today?
I think that there are no friends in politica.
In politics.
In politics, yes. There are only interests of countries. There are American interests and there are Russian interests, and at least we are not enemies today.
And during some periods, we are more friendly, right? During the Reagan administration in the 1980s, were we friendly or unfriendly?
In comparison with the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
I think that there are no Soviet Union today, so it isn't political correct question, because Russia is not so strong as United States or as Soviet Union, and maybe we are not so interesting for Americans today than when Reagan threatened to us with his bombing.
Yeah, so Reagan was very focused, right? For that time, Russia was the main enemy. But today, that's not the case. What did you think about Ronald Reagan? What did you think, Konstantin, about President Reagan?
I remember that we are all afraid when Ronald Reagan became a president of the United States. He succeeded to I forget it. He succeeded to.
And he had many names for Russia, right?
He said many. Anyway, and the issues of this threat, but it was the first step to detend.
Yeah. A good French word.
Thank you. Between Russian and between Soviet Union and America. And I don't know that time, not that time, when the Reagan was a president of the United States. Like Reagan for his speech on the radio about during 5 minutes we began bombing of Soviet Union, etc.
So he made many comments, right? Many.
No, I'm not ready to speak about this topic. Only some reminds. It was almost 30 years ago.
Yes, yeah, that's a very good point. Why don't we ask our other Olga, Suchinskaya, tell us what stereotypes do you have about Americans that you might want to share with us?
My friends told me, I think, the common stereotypes that Americans eat a lot of immigrants, Americans smiles always, but I was surprised when some of my friends told me that they think we thought Americans are too aggressive. I think it was a surprising stereotype stereotypes. Like,
from what you expected. It was different from what you expected.
Yes. I didn't hear the stereotype from Russian that Americans are aggressive.
Yeah. So and we have this.
It was.
That was a surprise for you, yeah. We have this wonderful phrase, hawkish, right?
Yes.
We're very aggressive. We're like a hawk. And the opposite would be, to be like a dove, two types of birds. Irena, why don't you jump in here? Irena, what stereotypes do you think about Americans that many Russians have?
Well, I already told about this in the last lesson.
Just name one or two.
That Americans smiling a lot, but they hide in the real feelings.
Son, do you agree with that?
Maybe partly, yes.
Okay. I'm trying not to smile while I ask the question. Unless you think I'm shallow.
Well, I'm smiling a lot too, so it's
all right. I like that. Well, one topic we wanted to cover today was the topic, we were going to move to the topic of mothers and parenthood. So I'm going to share a picture here to get us started today. Hopefully you can see the tab called Mothers 1. Can everybody see that?
yes.
Irena, why don't you keep going since I see you on camera. Who do you recognize in this photo? This is a photo of some mothers and some daughters. Do you recognize anybody?
No.
Clinton.
Yeah, Constantine.
Left lady is, I forget her name.
Hillary.
Hillary Clinton. Thank you, Hillary Clinton.
Hillary with one L or two, Jan? Two. So Hillary Clinton is here. And who do we think is the person right beside her? Hillary's on the far left. Who's in the middle?
Mother.
Right, I think it would likely be her mother. That would be Mrs. Rodham, right? Remember, her name is Hillary Rodham Clinton. And who is on the other side of her mother?
Maybe her daughter.
Maybe her daughter, yes. And so that would be Chelsea Clinton. And where do we think they are? What kind of event is this where they took this picture?
Marriage of Hillary's daughter.
Yeah, so when Chelsea got married, it would be the wedding of Chelsea Clinton when she got married, and she is Hillary's daughter. Very nice. So we have all three generations here in one photo. And one of the things we were talking about is that Hillary Clinton is very famous also for what other relationship that she has. Who is she married to? Olga, you're on camera. I'll ask you, Suchinskaya, who is her husband?
The husband is Bill Clinton, the ex-president of the United States of America.
Yeah, very nice. The former president of the United States, Bill Clinton. So she is both a famous mother as well as a very famous spouse or wife. Now, we were asking in our earlier session about famous political spouses, famous
What does mean
females.
spouses?
Yeah, so the word I like to use is, and this is an interesting one, is spouse. Spouse. We could have used the word wife, which is another word that's possible to use, but sometimes the famous politician is female, and you can't talk about the first lady because the first lady was a man. So yeah, supruga in Russian, spouse.
Okay,
So,
I get it.
Yeah. So we had some questions about some famous mothers in Russia or spouses in Russia. So, for example, who can tell us a little bit about Mrs. Putin? Mrs. Putin. Who is she? What the spouse of Vladimir Putin? What can you tell us about her? Who can tell us
Nobody
about
knows
her?
exactly.
Ah, this is very interesting, yes. So we know her name, right? Is she Lyudmila Putina?
She's a businesswoman now.
This one.
Ah,
Well,
she's a
what
business.
a surprise.
Yeah. She's owner of the one line of the supermarkets in all Russia.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Is the name of the supermarket?
What is the name? Yeah.
Magnit.
I
Did you write
did
that
not
in
know
the
that.
chat?
Huh?
Did you please
Yeah.
write that in the chat?
Yeah, yeah.
But as Konstantin said, we don't know much about her, do we?
No,
No.
I don't know much about her.
So one phrase we might use in English is she's not in the spotlight. She's in the background. She does not.
Exactly.
Yeah, doesn't want to attract attention to herself.
I remember she was connected with some charity, but
She does some charity work. So even Russians don't know much about her, right?
Yes.
What about Mrs. Medvedev?
the same.
The same?
Same. Even less.
Even less. Oh, interesting. And the Putins have some daughters, right?
Yeah.
Putin?
They don't
Yeah.
live in Russia now. Or yes, or they live. I don't remember.
So maybe 2 daughters. Now, what can you tell us about this person? Let me put one more picture up for you here. Who is this person on the screen? Who's up? Olga Vasina, are you there? Who is she?
With the famous people.
So you don't always follow famous people. So we've been talking about Mrs. Medvedev and Mrs. Putin. Who do you think this might be in the United
Obama.
States?
Yes.
Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. Very nice.
Yes.
What do you know about her? So Olga Vasina says she does not follow famous people necessarily. What do we know about her? What do you know about her? Anyone?
He's married to the president.
Married to the president, right.
And she all the time near him in some presentations or some, I don't know, some organization meetings.
Ah, very interesting, right? So she's very different from the Russian first ladies.
Yes.
So you are struck by the fact that you always see them together.
Mhm.
Ah, interesting. See, that doesn't. I never noticed that, but now I will notice that. Yeah, because for us, she is always in the spotlight.
Really?
Yeah, we always assume that we want to know more about her. And she's on the talk shows, and she's on the news, and she has causes, right? She has areas where she helps to bring some public discussion.
Mhm.
So what causes have you heard that Michelle Obama may have? What topics does Michelle Obama very interested in?
Well, I will try to guess maybe some social area, the social politics.
Yeah, very nice. Because right, she can't be a politician. That would be too dangerous. So something in the area of society. Yeah. She is very much an advocate for healthy living, especially for children, and healthy diet. And Professor Lira was reminding me that she started a garden at the White House.
She did. She would dig in the garden at the White House.
And so she's always talking about how we can be more healthy and eat more healthy.
Be more fit too.
So we know that about her. She has a garden at the White House, and she has causes. What about professionally? What does she? What is her profession? Do we know that? Anyone?
No.
Have no idea.
You have no idea. What do you think it would be? Do you think she would be a doctor or a lawyer, or a teacher? A doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher? What do you think?
I think he is a lawyer.
A lawyer? Anyone else have an opinion?
I think maybe a doctor because she's caring about the healthy life.
Okay.
So she.
That's okay. Konstantin, what do you think? Doctor, lawyer, teacher.
Forget the idea, but maybe she's a teacher.
Teacher, and when I say teacher, I mean professor also. What do you think, Olga Suchinskaya? Doctor, lawyer, teacher.
I think you're a doctor.
Doctor. Okay, so we have two doctors, one teacher, one lawyer. She's a lawyer. She's an attorney. She's a lawyer, and she taught in a law school for a while in Chicago. But she's a lawyer. By profession, she's a lawyer. By profession, she's a lawyer. And so, by the way, is
she famous lawyer in America?
Mm-hmm.
I asked, is she famous lawyer in America?
No.
No?
No. She is more famous. She is more famous for being the wife of the president. and for being the wife of the president, she's also highly. She's a good role model for mothers. She spends a lot of time with her. She has two daughters, and by all accounts, she's a very good mother in the sense that she insists on having a family life. She insists that those two girls be brought up it as normally as possible. And you can imagine what it's like to be the daughter of the President of the United States, especially a teenage daughter of the President.
We can't imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing about the Obama family is that Michelle's mother lives with them in the White House. And that's almost like a Russian family where you have 3 generations living under the same roof. And I think that the grandmother also plays a very important role in raising those daughters. Yeah, Professor Marston observes in the chat room that the Bush daughters, the daughters of George W. Bush, got into trouble a lot. You know, they would. I remember one of them was when she was a minor, she was not allowed to drink alcohol. She was, I think she was ordering beer or something in a restaurant here in Austin, and there was a scandal about that.
So drove drunk. She also drove drunk.
She drove drunk, yeah.
The picture of the Bushes and their daughters, hopefully you can see that.
We know about Laura Bush. Does anyone know about Laura Bush?
Yeah, another First Lady, yes.
Another First Lady. What was Laura Bush famous for?
What was her cause?
I have a foggiest idea about it.
Harder, because many Americans may not know what her cause was. I think her cause was reading and literacy, right?
Yes, reading.
And does anybody know what she was professionally before she married George Bush?
We could ask the same questions. Was she a doctor, or a teacher, or a lawyer?
What do you think?
Teacher.
And in particular, she was a school librarian. And so her cause was always reading. Although sometimes we use the higher style literacy, right, grammatness, to mean everything to do with language and learning to read. So she would frequently appear in schools and at events in libraries to encourage Americans to read. Because in comparison, I think to Russia, Americans do not read in the same quantities that Russians do.
Now this photograph also looks like it was taken at a wedding. Is that correct?
I believe that was Jenna's wedding.
Which one is Jenna, on the left or on the right?
I think she's on the right. But
she's the blonde?
Yeah.
Looks like she's wearing a wedding dress. The other daughter has kind of a silvery dress, and looks like she might be trying to upstage the bride. I'm not prejudiced about these people at all. A nice picture.
And I will bring us a picture of one more first family here, just a second. This one may be a little harder. This one requires a little bit of knowledge about history, back to the 1950s, 40s and 50s. Does anybody recognize the gentleman on the left?
Maybe President Eisenhower.
Excellent, yes. President Eisenhower, exactly right.
Eisenhower.
And do you remember the name of his first lady, his wife, his spouse?
No.
I'm not even sure what her legal name was. We all knew her as Mamie Eisenhower.
Mamie Eisenhower. And you know what's interesting? Mamie Eisenhower was famous because of her hairstyle. She had bangs. Ladies, do you know what bangs are? Bangs. Professor Marston, maybe you ought to explain this, because it was of some interest that Michelle Obama started to wear bangs.
Bangs, yes.
Professor
Hair, I have bangs. Neither of my colleagues have bangs.
One of your colleagues doesn't have much hair. That's a pretty common issue.
But it means that it's short across the forehead. And let's see, if you can look at, let's look at Michelle again and see if she.
I think I closed her, but I'll open her up again.
Oh, okay, if you wouldn't mind.
Here she comes. Oh, yeah, she has bangs.
Yeah, those are bangs. Let's see, Olga Suchinska, you do not have bangs. Let's see who. No, those are bangs. There you go. Hair on the forehead.
Her bangs are particularly famous because they're way too short. And there's only been one or two people since then that have emulated her with her short bangs.
Mamie Eisenhower.
Yes, not Michelle Obama. She has kind of regular bangs. One of them was Mia Farrow.
Farrow?
This goes back a long time. She was one of the wives of Woody Allen.
Ah, yes.
And she had, her hair was much shorter than mine, like maybe a ½ inch long, 2 centimeters long all over her head, if that. And she had bangs that looked like that. And you'll see that her famous daughter has no bangs. Nor does her son, who looks as though he balded early as well, like his father.
I know the son is David.
David Eisenhower.
What's the daughter's name?
No.
Margaret.
No, is it Margaret?
It might be.
Margaret Eisenhower. David Eisenhower is famous for another reason. Do we know the reason that David Eisenhower is famous? Anyone? Who did David Eisenhower marry?
The son.
I've forgotten it. I don't know.
David Eisenhower married one of the Nixon daughters.
Oh, that's right.
And you know sometimes when the president of the United States has a dacha, and the dacha is called Camp David, and Camp David was named after David Eisenhower. Camp David.
Camp David, it is Nixon dacha.
It's in Maryland. It's in Maryland.
Yes, it wasn't only Nixon's It was named after David Eisenhower because President Eisenhower spent a lot of time at Camp David. And they named it after his son. And so ever since then, it is a retreat for all the presidents. But it's always been called Camp David. And
like
camp is a casual kind of word.
Yeah. I like the fact that Professor Lero called it a dacha. Who can talk a little bit about dachas and explain that concept to Professor Marston? Olga Vasina, I see you on camera. What's a dacha? How do we explain a dacha to Professor Marston?
Dacha. It is a place for resting it's around town maybe. Maybe several kilometers from town, or just a house for resting with gardens, maybe something like that. I think. Because I think President's dacha and typical people's dacha is different places.
Very different.
Does your family have a dacha, Olga Vasina?
No, I haven't.
No dacha. Olga Suchinskaya, does your family have a dacha?
Yes, we have a dacha. We spend a lot of time there in summer. And my parents live in dacha all the year.
Olga, how do you get to the dacha? How do you go there?
Sometimes we go there by car. Sometimes we go by train. By train. It's about in 1 hour. 1 hour. Half day. We must go there about 1 hour by car.
1 hour by car.
From Moscow.
And do your children like to go to the dacha?
Yes, they like to sometimes. They have a lot of free space where they can run, play.
Sounds very pleasant. Irena, does your family have a dacha?
No.
Dacha. How about a friend? Maybe a friend has a dacha? You go with a friend?
My friend has a dacha, but I hate to spend time at dacha. I don't love this place.
Why is that? That's interesting. Why?
You don't like big?
Huh?
Don't you like big or grow flowers?
No, I don't like.
Irena, you're the first person. I've met who doesn't like a dacha.
I'm a city girl, so I don't like such places.
City girl.
My family don't have a dacha, but my mother likes to grow flowers around our buildings, big buildings with the slabs around. She grows flowers. It's fun.
In the courtyard, in the dvor.
Yes.
So, Konstantin, are you a city boy or a country boy? Are you like Irena? Are you a city boy?
I'm a mixed boy. Half a part of city boy and a part of country boy.
Some of each. So do you have a dacha?
Yes, I have it, and I like to spend some sometimes in the summer here. There.
So do you
and what
have
do you
a
do
garden?
at the dacha? What do you grow at the dacha?
Flowers and some vegetables and apples.
Apples. Apples. That sounds good. That sounds good. Apples. What do you do with the apples? You eat them? What else? Are there too many to eat?
Of course I eat it. We have a lot of apples, but a bit.
Can you see the picture on the screen where it says dacha? The dacha? It's yours.
Who does apply that?
Huh?
Who does apply this picture?
Dacha.
That was just a picture from out on the internet. Does that look like a Russian dacha?
It's a very new dacha.
We have old dachas.
Does President Putin's dacha look like this?
Of course not.
What does his dacha look like?
If I will have dacha like a Putin, I also will love it.
That would make a country girl out of you, yeah.
I was at Stalin's dacha in Abkhazia.
The palace that he's building down by Sochi, right?
Yeah.
No, not by Sochi. Озеро Ritsa Lake, Abkhazia.
I don't know that one.
Might have more than one.
Eh?
In Abkhazia. I'll see if I can find a picture.
It was part of Georgia in Soviet times.
It's actually an exclave in Georgia.
In Soviet Georgia, not American.
Oh yeah, good point.
And I think it's called Ozero, right? It's something of a very famous area where during the Soviet times many famous leaders came, Jan, and had dachas. It's almost like a little cooperative, if you will, for the super powerful politically.
The fat cat?
Yes, I think that would be
It's dacha, Stalin's dacha. Do you see?
And I cannot find a picture of it, but it should be.
About the one that's on the screen, I read about this because Professor Smith found this earlier, and it turns out that this isn't the whole dacha, this is the bathhouse they're building. And when I look at this picture, to me, it looks like my grandparents' garden. They lived in a small town, but they had this kind of a garden with flowers and vegetables and an outbuilding. And my grandmother canned vegetables. That doesn't mean that she put them in a can. it means that she preserved them, and they were in glass jars. So does anybody do that? Preserve the food that they grow? I have a garden, and I don't have a dacha or anything like that. But I do have a small garden and a small house, and I do dry some things that I grow, herbs mainly, and I also freeze some of the vegetables. But canning is too hard. It's very hot to do that anyway. But so, Joe, do you can?
I make jam. The only thing I can, sometimes I have made pickles, but recently I make jam or jelly. Jam or jelly. My mother used to can.
Do you can berry jam or fruit jam?
Fruit jam.
What kind of jam?
Pear. I pick my own pears and I make pear jam.
Груша.
Груша, да.
Yeah.
We капусты.
And it's very tasty, I will tell you.
Very tasty.
I have
pear
eaten
jam.
Joe's jam.
I like to make pear jam with ginger. Do you all know ginger? Imbir, ginger. Oh, it's so good.
As a spice.
So good. Ginger and pear.
Professor Miro, I know.
My wife prepared berry jam, смородина. Current berry.
Currant. We would have currant jelly rather than jam.
Current jam, yes.
Takes the seeds out. If you have jam, it keeps the pulp and the seeds in it. So jam is like marmalade.
Варенье.
Варенье, да. Точно. Или просто джем.
Jam and варенье the same?
Jam and marmalade are the same.
Sometimes they're called preserves.
Herbs.
Yeah. That means they're preserved